We're going to get started. So a little bit of housekeeping, and I'm going to go through this really quick. One thing that I want to let you guys know, so the first Conversations with Legends series that we ever did a year ago was with Coach Dick Vermeil. And if for those of you that remember, he talked about team building and culture. And so I talked to him the other day to congratulate him on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he, I said, congratulations from everybody in the Talent Champions Council, and he wanted me to say thank you. So a thank you from Coach Vermeil for making the Hall of Fame, well deserved. Couple upcoming events. So this month we all read this book from our buddy Coach Dana Cavalier. Coach Cavalier was the director of performance for the New York Yankees for many years. Dana is coming on March 1st to talk about the book. If you have not read it, still join us for that conversation, and you'll learn about habits of a champion team. So in March, our book club book is from my buddy Jason Redmond. Jason is one of the probably most prominent Navy SEALs out there. His story is incredible, but we're going to read his book, Overcome. And on April 19th, Jason's going to join us, and we're going to talk about Overcome. March 8th, Conversations with Legends series. We've got Antonia Hawk. Antonia is the global head of the Ritz-Carlton Leadership Center and a total badass. I absolutely love her. She's going to be joining us on March 8th. And on March 22nd, we've got Kate Luzio, the CEO of Luminary, who I think all of you guys know. For those of you who are new to a Conversations with Legends series, David and I are going to talk for a little bit, then we're going to open it up for Q&A. The way that we do the Q&A is you don't have to ask your question in the chat, just put in the chat that you have a question, and we'll tee you up, and you can ask your question directly to David Meltzer. So without any further ado, I wanted to welcome David Meltzer to the Talent Champions Council and Conversations with Legends series. And David is an absolute legend. So real quick bio on David. He's the co-founder of Sports One Marketing along with Warren Moon. He was the former CEO for Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. Lee Steinberg and the group that David ran over there is really kind of the backbone and was the inspiration for the mega movie Jerry Maguire, which I'm sure you guys have all seen. David has been recognized by Variety Magazine as their Sports Humanitarian of the Year. He's been awarded the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. He's an executive producer of the Bloomberg and Apple TV series 2 Minute Drill and Office Hours, which he gave you guys an invite to. And his life mission is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. That is one hell of a life mission. So we're going to start there. And we've only got 50 minutes with David, so we're going to talk for a little bit and then we'll open it up for Q&A. But David, first of all, thank you for joining us. I'm a massive fan of yours, and the first opportunity I got to meet you in New York was epic. So I appreciate you for everything you've always done and for the support that you've always given to me.
Oh, of course. And they say if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I'm looking at some of these names of this group. I'm definitely in the right room. And hi, Randy, good to see you as well there. I see you, brother. Yeah, it's an amazing experience what you guys do. The collective consciousness is so important, and surrounding yourself with the right people and the right ideas is why I am such a supporter of you, Scott, and you keep on aggregating the best minds and the best people to share those experiences and create this consciousness to help others.
I appreciate it, my man. So my first question for you is, we're going through everything from the Great Resignation, which means people are not very happy with their jobs, to unprecedented levels of anxiety, depression, suicide, which to me indicates there's a lot of people out there that are not happy. And I know that that is your mission. And you do it by providing tons of, for those of you who don't know, there's nobody more generous with their time than David. He provides free training. He's been doing this for 20 years in lots of different interesting formats. But what do you think, David, what can people do to become happy? Because at the end of the day, it's not the money that matters. It's not the job title. If you're happy, you've kind of got it all. What do you think's missing?
Well, first, I don't think people really have a moment to sit down and define what happiness is. When I clearly define happiness, I define it as the enjoyment of the consistent, everyday, persistent without quit pursuit of my own potential. Not what other people want for me, not what's missing or what I don't want, but simply what do I want? And so from that measure, I teach people to have values that are aligned with enjoying every day, pursuing their best self, and also daily practices that allow you to be efficient, effective, and statistically successful in that pursuit. I'm blessed to be friends with Chris Gardner, who's someone that I'll recommend to come and speak to this group as well. He did the book Pursuit of Happiness, and I tease him all the time. I said, Chris, you got it backwards. There is no pursuit of happiness. Happiness is the pursuit. And so when I teach people these values and daily practices in order to accommodate enjoying your life, we have to shift the mindset. And number one is faith. My life changed when I realized I don't have to go get happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. And the reason I don't have to get it is I started to realize, number one, there's something bigger than me. That's a simple truth I think you have to believe in to be happy. You have to believe, I don't care what religion, philosophy, spirituality that you subscribe to, but you have to believe there's an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves you more than you love your children or you are loved by your mom. And if you can start there and believe there's something bigger than you that loves you that much, now you're sitting in a situation to be happy, to be promoted and protected by all of life's activities. And so I'm on a mission in a variety of different platforms, from 3 TV shows to movies to, from being in Beyond the Secret and all the stuff I get to do. It's simply to teach people faith and then to give them pragmatic tools to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun, which I think are 3 criteria that allow us to pursue our potential.
David, you are probably one of the busiest guys I know.
Active. I don't believe in busy. Busy means you're unavailable. I'm one of the most active people you know.
Most active, much better way to put it. How do you keep yourself sane? How do you keep yourself productive? How do you keep yourself happy with that schedule?
So first of all, you have to study time. If you're going to utilize time correctly, you have to study time. So I use my calendar to study time. I call it studying my calendar. I use 3 lenses in order to effectuate the efficiency, effectiveness, statistical success, to utilize time and understanding time. The first lens is productivity. When we put our attention in intention, which has 5 levels to it, it has the level of what we say, do, think, believe, and feel. But when we utilize a lens of productivity, of how much value am I going to bring to the activities I have planned, the activities I don't have planned, and my sleep, and we'll get to that, because sleep is the most, remember, on an average person's life, you're going to sleep 26 years of your life. But yet the most disappointing and frustrating thing to me in happiness is that most people go to sleep at night and wake up more tired in the morning. That'd be like me taking you guys all out to eat and we all leave dinner and you telling me, oh man, I'm hungry. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I use the lens of productivity for those activities, including sleep. The second lens is a bifocal. It's a lens of accessibility. Notice I said I'm not busy, because busy people are inaccessible. They're usually high, broke, and sick on their mom's couch, telling you how busy they are, that they can't do anything. I'm the exact opposite of that. I'm completely active because I have a bifocal of accessibility. How accessible am I to others? I utilize things like the 5-20 rule. I sat with Bob Proctor, my mentor, for 4 hours, and he didn't even know he gave me the best piece of advice that he had given me as a mentor. He said to me, Dave, after 5 minutes on a phone on average, you're visiting. but don't you want to visit with people you know and care about instead of people you don't know and don't care about? So stop visiting so much. And then he said, after 20 minutes in person or on an interview or on a speech, you're just visiting. You can get your point across. And so I created the 520 rule, which has exceptions. So when I get an extraordinary group like this, I'm going to give more than 20 minutes, but I utilize my time with accessibility in mind, knowing that if I have 5-minute phone calls and 20-minute meetings, 20-minute interviews, 20-minute speeches, that I'll be more accessible to more people and creating content and all the things that I do. But the second lens of accessibility is the most important, and it's accessing what I want, right? Most people don't receive. You guys are tremendous givers. My mom's the classic example. We appreciate what we have, which grows or builds a bigger vessel. We acknowledge what we have by giving it away, right? The only way you can acknowledge or acquire the knowledge of what you have is to give it away, let it be stolen, manipulated from you, or lost. That's not a problem, but you need to be aware of that acknowledgement of what we've had. But most people stop there. So my mom, who's turning 80, she has dissipated and dissolved. She gave away her wealth, her health, her worthiness because she felt guilty receiving. You need to ask. You need to be confident that we live in a value add, not a zero-sum world, a world of more than enough, an abundant world where you need to access what you want using time as the dependent variable because you're given 24 hours of man-made constructive time a day, 1,440 minutes. Finally, the last lens, as you know, Scott, which is most important to me, is a lens of gratitude. The lens of gratitude gives us the ability to find the light, the love, and the lessons in everything. Yes, we live in a pragmatic world, and you have to determine, is it worth my time to spend to find the light, the love, and the lessons in this thing that's bleeding me, this relationship, this job, this chore is bleeding me? Or do I allow it to fall away? So you have to reconcile time into the equation of even gratitude, which is the most powerful thing that will change your life. Remember, in the course of happiness, in my mission of happiness, the only common denominator of happiness that exists, whether you're sick or well, tall or short, whatever religion you are, whatever color you are, whether you're rich or poor, the only common denominator of happiness is gratitude. Those who are grateful are happy. Those that aren't. And those that are better at determining how much time to spend on those things that feed us, not bleed us, are even more happy because they're utilizing their time in an effective, efficient, and statistically successful way. 80% of your time is spent on things that bleed you. And that's in the corporate and the personal realm. You need to shift that by those lenses of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude.
Love it. Love it. And to your point about sleep, which I think, doesn't get talked about that much. A buddy of mine and probably a mutual friend of ours, Joe DeSena, said this, that we've got the alarm clock all wrong. Instead of having the alarm clock wake us up, we need the alarm clock to tell us when to go to bed. And I thought, boy, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant.
I have an unwinding routine. Joe and I have discussed this together. But I have an unwinding. My tomorrow starts today. These man-made constructive time. Why does a week have 7 days? Because man says it does. Why can't we have 5-day weeks with 72 weeks? It works the same way. The math is the same. So I start my day at 9 p.m. and I unwind because sleep to me is recovery and access. So the better I recover and the more I access when I sleep, the more I'll plateau in the morning. I start with a higher baseline, not living like a tube, food in, food out. The myth of Sisyphus from Camus, rolling a boulder to the top of the hill just to have it roll to the bottom. Not my life. My life starts at 9 p.m. No alcohol, no drugs, no caffeine, no negative conversations. If any of you are married, how great is it that our spouses always wait till right before we go to bed to give us the Tabasco in the wound question? What do you think about Mia's future? Do you think she's going to be okay? Are you kidding me? I'm not talking about that. I'm not watching scary movies even. I am putting myself in a point of recovery and access so I can plateau and grow with a higher baseline every day to pursue my potential.
So, David, you've had a career where, at an early age, you made a fortune, and then lost it, gained it back, Is there, in your mind, is there a correlation between financial success and happiness?
Absolutely. Money does not buy love or happiness. And I thought it did. In fact, from the time I was 24, when I graduated law school and became a millionaire in the internet, even though my mom told me the internet was a fad in 1992, we managed a $3.4 billion exit in 95. Everything in my life affirmed, including marrying my dream girl from the fourth grade, that money buys love and happiness. But the shift in the paradigm from I have to go get wealthy, I have to go get happy, go get healthy, go get worthiness. Instead, I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. What am I doing to interfere with it? Meaning that energy of money, money being an object of energy that we put into the flow, just like faith, an object of energy that we put into the flow to get what we want. So in essence, what does money allow us to do? How is it correlated with happiness? Very simple. Money allows you to shop. And if you shop for the right things, for the right reasons, you're going to be super happy. And I'm going to tell you a quick story because it really rang true with me recently. I was coaching this financial analyst, a young kid, African-American kid named Tay Sweat, and he buys a Lambo. Right. I get him up to 8 figures by coaching him, and he buys a Lambo, and I'm super disappointed in him. I'm like, haven't you learned anything from me? Is it not what I say? It's what you hear. And he looks at me and says, no, Mr. Meltzer, I listen to everything you tell me. That's why I'm where I'm at. I said, then why'd you buy the Lambo? I told you not to buy things you don't need to impress people you don't like. Take the dummy tax from me. Don't do it. He said, no, sir. He said, when I drive this car, there's a lot of kids that look like me that come from where I'm from. And they ask me, hey, are you an athlete? Do you play basketball? Hey, are you an entertainer? Do you sing? Do you rap? Are you a DJ? And I look at him and I say, nope. I read books and I help people. I bought that Lambo for the right reason. And man, it made him happy. And it makes me choke up because once again, I'm learning more by coaching these people than anyone else about money and my relationship to it. And I would never fathom in any world buying a Lambo to be the right thing for the right reason. But he proved that I don't know what I don't know to every aspect. And I think it's really important to know that money allows you to shop for the right things for the right reasons, even though other people may not want it for you. You think it's what's missing or what you don't want. But if you're shopping with the right things for the right reasons, you can buy happiness.
I love it. I love it. We because we're a little short on time today, we're going to go to Q&A because I've already seen people lining up to ask you questions. So this is kind of one of the fun parts of the format is people just getting to ask you whatever. And you are such a wealth of knowledge. We're going to go to Florida first, and we are going to my good friend, Randy Ostro.
David and Scott, thank you. I don't have a question. I wanted to say thank you to David. I've been following you. I saw your story 18 months ago. You and I have had the pleasure of talking a bit, and you've changed my life. You taught me the practice of daily gratitude. And since you challenged me, I say thank you every day, multiple times a day, and I think of you. And you taught me to be more interested than interesting. And anybody that's on this call with us today, this guy who you're listening to, and to have him with Scott, I'm almost like shaking sitting here because these are two of the best people in the world. And I just wanted to say thank you, David. You've changed my life. I quote you to my family and my friends and my clients every week. And I really just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
I will tell you one other lesson is coherence, by the way. So saying thank you, I love when people that have extraordinary success like Randy tell me, oh, well, Dave taught me to say thank you. Because I laugh. I'm like, my grandma taught me when I was 3. But what I really taught Randy was coherence, which is different because saying thank you takes 0.1 seconds. It's free, guaranteed to change your life. As Scott mentioned, I've surrounded myself with the world thought leaders. I've written books with Jack Canfield, Bob Proctor. I am surrounded with Deepak and Sadhguru and these unbelievable thought leaders. Everybody agrees. Thank you changes your life. It's free, 1.1 seconds. Physics, quantum physics, metaphysics I've studied. But what they don't teach you about gratitude is you need coherence. And that's why my daily practices are so important. What is coherence? It's remembering to say thank you and saying it. And if you can remember what you want, who you can inspire, who can inspire you, and how to get it done, learn to prioritize by what's important with the what, the who, and the how, you will apply your why. But coherence is the antithesis of what our ego wants us to do, right? Because if we're capable of prioritizing gratitude, well, then priority being the antidote to be feeling overwhelmed and procrastination, we're actually going to get stuff done. 100% of the things you do now get done. 100% of the times you say thank you, it's done. So what I want people to think about from Randy's comments of gratitude is simply he's learned coherence. He's in all aspects of his life, remembering the what, the who, and the how, knowing his now and applying his why every single day by remembering what he wants and doing it.
Scott Garber in Colorado, you're up.
Damn, this is cool, guys. Meltzer, great to see you, my man. Scott McGregor, thank you for putting this together. Quick sidebar real quick. Meltzer, I was on with Kevin Carpenter, the Gratitude, before we got on here. So he's just curious when we're going to go and take that 20 minutes to the golf course, but that's for another time. My question to you today is, you've obviously had an incredible journey, of life. And I'm curious, at what point in the journey did you realize that gratitude was that secret ingredient to this recipe of happiness?
Well, I was blessed to grow up with gratitude, and my mom and grandparents and everyone, she wouldn't let me come down to the breakfast table with the wrong attitude. And so subconsciously, I learned gratitude. But it wasn't until my wife, when I had everything, golf course, ski mountain, 33 homes worth over $100 million, married to my dream girl, when I was in what I call the overselling, back-end selling, line manipulating, and cheating part of my life, when I thought, I was in control of my life and I had no faith, but I had lost my gratitude. And my wife, 2 years before I lost everything, told me she wasn't happy and that she was leaving me because she thought that if I continued not paying attention to what was important, my family, my health, and my activity I get paid for, that I was going to end up dead. Now, my initial reaction when she told me that was shock. I had the need to be offended and need to be right. I screamed at her, said, how dare she, after everything I had done. And I went to bed even more angry and woke up even more angry, thinking about how I was going to take her happiness, which in my mind was her money. And at that moment, I looked over in the closet. And I know some of you know this story. And I saw a jacket that my father had given me. My father, who had left me at 5, not given me a birthday present in 20 years, gave me a jacket on my 30th birthday with no pockets. He gave me the jacket and I was furious with him. I told him, why would you do this to punish me? He said, no, I want you to hang the jacket in your closet because I want you to remember every day that money doesn't buy happiness. You can't take anything with you when you're gone. I don't want you to make the same mistakes as me. I told him to F off. I hated him. I was nothing like him. He was a liar, a cheater, manipulator, overseller, back-end seller, and I hated him. And there I was, years and years later, sitting on my bed, full of anger, and I looked over, and what did I see in my closet for the first time in the longest time? That jacket. And I broke down, as I do today, just overwhelmed with emotion that I didn't hate my best friend who told me that I was lying to myself. I didn't hate my wife who wanted to leave me, and I definitely didn't hate my father. I hated myself. And I hated myself. I was the liar, the cheater, the manipulator, the overseller, the back-end seller. I was an imposter. I was full of shit. And I sat there, and my wife's words when she said, you better take stock in who you are and what you want to become, because you're going to end up dead. What would your mother think of you now? And man, I looked at that jacket and I said, I'm going to take stock in who I am. And I came up with 4 values. The number one, gratitude, that gave me the perspective to be everything that I wanted to be, growing up with nothing, with a single mom who worked 2 jobs, packing my dinner in a paper bag with even food stamps at times. And then forgiveness, empathy, to be forgiving of myself for all the mistakes, failures, and setbacks, that I wasn't being punished. I was being promoted and protected by this extraordinary woman who cared that much about me to tell me the truth. Accountability was the third one. Remembering that I attracted all this BS into my life. What was I supposed to learn from it? No more lawyer life, liability life, blame, shame, and justification. No more need to be right, offended, separate, inferior. I don't have to spend days, weeks, months, and years in ego-based consciousness. And then finally, the major one that incorporated gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability. I was always a great communicator, but I was communicating the wrong way. See, I thought I could go get happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy, that I was in control of my mindset, heart set, and handset. But I didn't realize there was something bigger than me that loved me more than my mom. Love me more than I love my own kids. And so when I learned to effectively communicate with the great source of power, the great omniscient, all powerful source, when I learned to clear what was interfering between me and that which inspires me, my whole life changed by utilizing gratitude for perspective, empathy for peace, and accountability for control in order to get what I want, who to inspire and who inspires me, how best to get it done with those lenses of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, and prioritization of what's important to me by applying my why. I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. I just want to spend minutes and moments in the interference.
Unbelievable. Thank God we archive these in our knowledge center, because that is something I'm going to go back and listen to. Rob Anderson in New York. What's up, Rob?
Hey, Scott, how are you? Super powerful. David, I'd actually never heard that story before. So thank you. And we had connected a few weeks ago on Clubhouse, and we talked about the importance of education. And that's a space I'm wickedly committed to. And what we had talked about was curriculum and creating a new curriculum. And what does that curriculum look like? And we had outlined 5 steps. You had outlined 5 steps, as you just articulated: gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, effective communication, and practice of coherence through the matrix of importance through Eisenhower. And the question is, what's the next step? You had just spoken about how powerful those 5 steps have been in your life. And I agree. Those are the steps that a new curriculum, school curriculum, need to be based upon. Now that we have an outline, what's the next steps of implementation that you would envision to impart guidance on our educators and certainly on our teachers as well? Grateful for you.
Grateful for you. And daily practices. So I mentioned real briefly the what, the who, the how, the now, and the why. And if we can teach this curriculum, these values that you stated, utilizing 5 daily practices that are simple, incorporate a ton of different lessons and sub practices to them, but understanding why. So what I want people to do is pay attention, focus in on the daily practices, taking into consideration your individual mid and long-term goals, taking into consideration that life's about lessons. So I'm a hypocrite. I want to change my mind because that means I'm improving, progressing, promoting, and learning. And what we want, the objective of education, is to learn lessons, to be promoted and protected by the lessons, not punished by the lessons. So I would teach these daily practices according to every individual's midterm and long-term objectives, allowing them to utilize gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability to change their mind, to not be afraid of knowing what they want personally, experientially, giving wise, and receiving wise. I'd be a big teacher of the ask. Know who they can inspire and help, and who can inspire and help them. Know how to utilize time in order to effectuate the productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. Teach them that matrix of importance by understanding prioritization of the what, the who, and the how, and then teaching them to apply their why, to be inspired, to know and have them be confident in what they're connected to and through, regardless of their belief system. And utilizing those 5 daily practices, I would teach them the mathematical equation of luck or success. I would teach them to pay attention to the daily practices, but I would teach them the 5 levels of intention in the 5 daily practices, because attention plus intention equals the coincidences in your life. And if you get the coincidences you want occurring in your life that you want, people think you're lucky. Biggest compliment people give or reaffirmation they give in my life is like, oh, Dave Meltzer, how lucky is he? Have you seen his family? You know, that guy never gets sick. Do you know how rich he is? Oh my God, you see all these things. Yeah, you know why? Because I pay attention to and I understand the 5 levels of intention. And what are those 5 levels? I say the right things. I do the right things aligned with what, who, how, and now for me. I think the right things. I believe the right things, and I feel the right things. These are the 5 levels of intention. And if we can utilize and get people to say the right things, to speak out, remember, saying the right thing is wishing for what you want. Wish for what you want, say it, speak it, then do it, then think it, then believe it, and you'll feel it. That feeling of the inspiration of being in alignment with the great source of omniscient, all-powerful, and all-knowing is incredible. And what do? We just teach people to spend minutes and moments interfering with it. And so you have to identify the ego-based consciousness, the need to be right, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, resentful. And instead of teaching people to resist it, overcome it, oversell it, go around it, under it, and through it, lie to it, manipulate it, and cheat it, be afraid of it, I just teach people to stop. Breathe through their nose and out through their mouth, remembering that plateau in the morning, their higher self, and getting back to that higher self, getting back to center, dropping down into their center, into their peace, and then rolling in what? The right trajectory of the what, the who, the how, and the now. Only spending minutes and moments in ego-based consciousness, only spending minutes and moments interfering with your higher self. This is where we live in happiness. This is what we need to teach these people. And I will, along with it, teach them to make a lot of money so they can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. So there is a pragmatic element. I'm not just teaching some woo-woo spiritual philosophy of happiness lying around. It's actually a pragmatic way to be more productive and accessible and gracious.
Beautiful. Doug, in the Sunshine State, you're up.
Thank you, Scott and Dave. I mean, this is really remarkable. I mean, the cadence that you talk in, the content that you're delivering, the resting smile that you have in your face, I swear to God, it feels like everything is just being channeled through you. It's unbelievable. So thank you for this opportunity. A question that I've got is around flow or flow state, which is very important to me. And I think it's one of these misunderstood concepts that sort of conveys, like when you say go with the flow, some sort of lazy, lackadaisical, passive kind of attitude. And in my beliefs, I don't think going with the flow means not having a plan or not knowing where we're going. I'm just trying to consciously leave myself open to different ways of getting there. And I think that us humanoids have this like innate control issue. And I feel that control is a real blocker to maintaining a flow state. So if you could riff off that in whatever brilliant way you choose, I would appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, the interference you have is fear, and understanding that there's only 2 types of people in the world: ignorant people that don't know what they don't know, and ignorant people that don't know what they don't know. But there's 2 types of ignorant people. One is radically humble ignorant people that admit they don't know what they don't know, and they consistently, persistently pursue their potential. They do their best, they learn lessons, and they have fun. And then you have the ignorant, arrogant people that are so afraid because they don't know what they don't know. They don't have faith that they're being protected and promoted when they have failures, setbacks, and mistakes in their lives. They are not in the flow because they have fear that transforms itself in a variety of different ways that I mentioned earlier: the fear of separation, inferiority, superiority, anger, frustration, worry, right? Worry is a duplicative negative in your life. Worrying is wishing for what you don't want, and it's interfering with the flow. And so, if you're a worrier, don't do it. It's a duplicative. It's aggregating against yourself. You're working against yourself. And so when we start realizing the ignorance of what we have, we also can take control of that by utilizing gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration to know that we're being protected and promoted, but yet we still have to use all of our free will to clear the interference. So instead of thinking I have to go get it, we have to be in the flow to allow it, assuming that it's already there by having faith. And so what I teach people are pragmatic practices to identify the ego-based consciousness, to stop, drop, and roll, but also to utilize their ignorant humility and identify those that are ignorant and arrogant. And let me tell you why. Most people, and I always thought that people that were ignorant and arrogant were oversellers, manipulators, liars, cheaters that were interfering. The most dangerous, believe it or not, ignorant, arrogant people in our lives that stifle us or interfere with our flow are the people that love us the most. And let me tell you why. And some of you may be parents or grandparents. There's nothing that makes us more afraid or creates interference than thinking about something happened to those that are closest to us. And so our parents, who we respect the most, they give us ignorant, arrogant advice because they're so afraid that we might make mistakes, get hurt, have setbacks, and experience pain. See, pain to me is an indicator. My purpose is always greater than my pain. Pain is indicating to me I have a lesson to learn. Pain is an indicator I got a better place to be in, a better situation to be in. It's not punishment, it's protection and promotion. But my mom thinks pain is punishment, and she doesn't want me to experience any pain. So she'll give me really bad advice out of her protection of me. Oh, you shouldn't do, and she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. Right? She's the worst business person I've ever met. Tells me the internet's a fad when I got out of law school. I graduated law school, got a great job as a litigator, and I wanted to go into the internet and sell legal research online. And she's like, don't do it. This is 1992. Internet's a fad. Now, did she say that to hurt me? No, she's ignorant and arrogant. And so I think distinguishing the forms of ignorance in our lives when we have it and others have it towards us, and reminding ourselves, remembering and recollecting. When we remind, remember, and recollect, remember, there's a difference between your brain and the mind. It's very, very important to understand the distinguishment. Your brain has many practical applications of utilizing your nervous system, all the different cortexes of the brain in order to effectuate information. But to be in the flow, you have to use the mind. The brain's going to interfere because it has the ego in there. It has different frontal and back and all the different nuances of the biochemical nature and the electronic impulses that are created by the brain. But when you can separate the brain from the mind and see when the brain is interfering with the mind, knowing that the mind is in the flow. And that is why we have words like remember, remind, and recollect. What are you collecting back to? What are you minding back to? What are you remembering back to? The collective consciousness, a bigger mind. Your brain is actually something that can protect you and utilized very effectively in the pragmatic world, but it's not going to put you into the flow. The mind is what puts you into the flow.
Andrea in Washington, you're up with Mr. Meltzer.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, David. How are you today? Your energy has just been amazing. I want to probe into the lenses that you talked about, the lens of accessibility, productivity, and gratitude, in particular, the lens of accessibility. I love your concept of active versus busy. And working as a coach with a lot of leaders, I'm often told, I just don't have time. And I'm curious what David's response would be to a leader that says, I just don't have time.
You're not prioritizing correctly. See, when we're overwhelmed or we don't have time, that means we have more than enough to do. We have more enough parties to go to, people to talk to, opportunities to take advantage of. And it's just a matter of prioritization. When someone says they don't have enough time, what they're saying is, I'm not prioritizing that activity. And so if I can teach you not only to be more efficient, effective, and statistically successful, you'll have more opportunities that you can pursue. But it's really a matter of understanding abundance, that first of all, instead of feeling resistance, anxiety, shortages, scarcity when we don't have time because we have more than enough, we have to feel grateful instead that we live in an abundant universe where there's more than enough to do. And if there's more than enough to do, there's more than enough time to do it in. We just have to get better at prioritizing and effectively utilizing our time in order to effectuate what's most important to us. Like I said, most people spend about 80% of their time on things that bleed us. And so by utilizing many mechanisms, you can have an opportunity to truly create quantitative value for your clients by changing and shifting their paradigm and perspective of feeling overwhelmed, of not having enough time, into feeling blessed that they're overwhelmed because they live in abundance. And what you're going to teach them is how to prioritize and be more efficient, effective, and statistically successful with their time by feeding that which feeds you and letting that which bleeds you fall away and firing some of it from your life. But you have to utilize these daily practices in order to know what you want, who you can help, who can help you, how to get it done best, and that prioritization that then takes place. So shift the paradigm, the energy of it, as well as their perspective. And pretty soon they'll have more than enough time for the more than enough that they have to do.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
We've got 5 questions in 8 minutes. I don't think it's
All right,
humanly
I'll get through as
possible.
many as I can. I'll speed up the answers. But I'm accessible. I give 5 minutes to anyone. So email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I know several of you know that. david@dmeltzer.com. I'll give you 5 minutes as well on top of being here. So let's answer as many as we can. Okay, Scott?
Let's go to Wyatt in Canada.
Hi, David. It's a huge honor to meet you today. This is my first time being introduced to you, and I'll definitely be following you on social media like crazy from here. So my question just goes back to your 5-minute and 20-minute rule about getting a point across quickly. And are there any other areas of your life where you use a strict rule like that, whether it be your morning routine or your work routine or anything, where you learn to use a timing trick to make your day more effective?
Yeah, I mean, studying the calendar, not looking at it, understanding activity I have planned, don't have planned in my sleep is very effective in utilizing my time. I'm always looking for what I do every day, every week, every month. Let me give you some examples. I'm going to give everyone paid 2 weeks vacation right now. By studying my calendar and studying time, 80 hours a year is spent looking for things. If you put your phone, your wallet, and your purse in the same place, or you register where it is, I've just saved you 80 hours of productive time. So that's one way I utilize time. I also have something called the power of 64, which I look at things I do every day, month, and year. So for example, I was someone that daydreamed when I brushed my teeth, flossed my teeth, and took my Listerine, and I noticed it took me 6 minutes a day. Now I do that twice a day. If I could shave off 4 minutes of time by staying focused, by creating a system of knowing, I don't know how many of you have brushed your teeth and go, did I get the bottom? And then you do it again, or you sit and look at the mirror and go, how much time just passed away? So I brush my teeth, floss my teeth, and use Listerine. I save 4 minutes a day, 28 hours a week, 2 hours a month, 24 hours a year. That's 8 hours of productivity. So basically I have a system that I'm constantly trying to be 16 hours of productivity a day, twice as efficient, which gives me the effect of 32 hours of productivity a day. Then I'm practicing what I do by having the values in the daily practices. So I have 64 hours of productivity, not hours a day, but 64 hours of productivity a day. Then I don't believe in work. I believe in activity you get paid for and activity you don't get paid for. And so I'm not someone that needs to go off the grid for 6 weeks a year or for a weekend ever, because I vacation every goddamn day of my life. I vacation every day, and 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours a Saturday. Not just vacationing, but spending time with your family, your health, whatever it is. There's an aggregate component of the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. So what is the math? So that 8-hour average day for most people, 5 days a week of productivity. Most people only get 40 hours. I get 16 hours of productivity, twice as efficient, 32, twice as statistically successful, 64 hours of productivity a day, 7 days a week. That's 56 days comparatively. When I made my first $1 million 9 months of law school and they were giving me all these awards and accolades, I was smirking and laughing at them. And they're like, what's so funny? I said, I didn't even hit my comp plan. They're like, what do you mean? I go, because I was 11 years productive in 9 months. I was way below the comp plan. I was just beating you with time and math. And that's the key to what we do. And I'm happy to teach further and send documents, exercises that are free for you guys that'll teach you that.
Phenomenal. Helen in Portugal, you're up. We're keeping it international.
Hi, David.
Obrigado.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes. Hi. It's lovely to meet you on here. I've been following you for quite a while as well. I have two questions. The first is, what is your definition of happiness? And then if I missed it in the beginning, I apologize for that. And the second is, where is your next quantum leap at? Like, what are you kind of working on right now that excites you?
Well, my definition, to repeat it for everyone, and don't worry about missing, is enjoying the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of my potential. And my next quantum leap involves the 5 levels of intention. I've always been very good at saying, doing, thinking, and believing. I'm really working in the quantum realm of feeling, using intuition as a clairsentient. You've heard of clairvoyance, where you can see the future. I feel the future, and I want to utilize my feelings, my intuition, and my inspiration in a more effective manner. So I'm studying the reconciliation of the higher power in the pragmatic world. I'm studying, all types of Sadhguru and, autobiography of the yogi, surrender experiment. I'm writing a book called Reconciliation, and I want to be the unbothered soul. You've heard of the untethered soul? I want to be the unbothered soul.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Tom in California, you're up.
Scott, David, thank you very much. My first time here, and it's off to a great start. So I'm very, very happy. David, question for you. When you have high achievers that you're around and people that try to exceed all the time, is there ever moments where how do they reconnect to their why? You achieve all these great things, right? And then you go, okay, what's the next mountain to climb? How do you reconnect to the why?
Well, when you're in daily practices, when you're a value-based leader, when you're an intelligent follower, when you're more interested than interesting, you are consistently applying your why. So that connectivity only has minutes and moments of interference or disconnection. And so when you're living where your purpose overcomes your pain, when you're in the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential, where I coach leaders and some pretty big ones of, the Fortune 10, it's amazing how they have this exact same question. And I have to re-engineer their perspective of what they're connected to and through at all times, and remind them that you're not going to get anything. You're not achieving anything. I teach them, number one, the law of gravity. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're at the right place at the perfect time. Appreciate it. Let's institute the law of Goya. Get off your ass or off, and go ahead and do that consistent, persistent pursuit. But also let me teach you the law of assumption. And the law of assumption is that we live in a value add game, not a zero sum game. You already are in the why. What are you doing to interfere with the why, not finding your why? And especially young people, they're all, mission and emotionally attached to some outcome, and they want to find their why. They want to be passionate like David Meltzer. I'm like, whoa. You're connected to and through exactly what I am. Let me teach you to clear what's interfering with you and that source.
Thank you.
We're going to end things with Bruce. And I know we've got some other people with questions, but unfortunately we're out of time. So Bruce, you're up.
Great. So David, thank you so much for sharing your story earlier, your candor. I'm going to make it quick. We talked a lot about daytime. What about nighttime? You did reference earlier on about sleep. I'm not a great sleeper, and I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Well, first, if you're not great at something, find a mentor, right? I have 3 mentors minimum at all time, people that sit in the situation I want to be in and give me directions on how to get there. So I have a sleep coach. I travel 200 days a year. So I want to know how to eat, how to utilize light, how to understand energy, all of these different things. So my number one piece of advice is ask for help from someone that knows what the heck they're talking about, and create a night routine. If you are not waking up at a higher self, you're not sleeping correctly. The idea of sleep is about recovery, right? We want to be and recover quickly and adequately, but it's also about access, because when we're sleeping, the conscious is out of the way. As long as we haven't inputted data to the subconscious, we can start working on adjusting our quantum nature, our quantum being, our quantum memories. We are and have energetic and genetic inheritances that we can activate that may or may not be utilized correctly. And so, working on the subconscious and unconscious within the context of this sleep that we're gifted with every single night, the number one habit that everyone shares around the world, 26 years of the average person's existence. If you don't have an expert, if you're not studying sleep, if you don't have a coach, if you don't utilize an unwinding routine and understand recovery and access, then please make it a priority. Readjust and re-engineer what's important to you. Why? Because for me, my non-negotiables are a minimum of an hour a day on my health, which includes studying my sleep, a minimum of time with my family, a minimum amount of time in the activity I get paid for every day. After that, I can do what I want when I hit those objectives, but I prioritize those things, especially health and how sleep is related to health. Why? And I'm going to end on this and remind everyone to reach out to me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll answer every question, I promise. If you're healthy, if you're sleeping right and you're healthy, you get as many wishes a day as you want. My greatest asset of mine is my wishes, my prayers. That's the greatest asset I have, because I know that I have an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves me more than my mom loves me. So if I'm asking for the right things, they're going to be delivered. I just got to figure out what I'm doing to interfere with what I'm asking for, but it'll be delivered. If I institute the law of gravity, Goya, and assumption, it will come to me rapidly and accurately. But if you're not healthy, you only get one wish. No matter if you're Steve Jobs, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're unhealthy, you only have one wish. So make sure that you're utilizing your sleep for recovery and access to keep you healthy, wealthy, worthy, and happy. And I will teach you what you're doing to interfere with it. I promise you. Bless you all. What a gracious group of people you are. You are game changers. My mission of over 1 billion people is to empower 1,000 people like you, to empower 1,000 people, to empower 1,000 people to be happy, to make more money, help more people, and have more fun. Please reach out to me. You're all invited to my launch. But beyond that, I'll answer any questions. David@dmeltzer.com. Scott, especially, thank you for this opportunity.
David, I cannot thank you enough, my man. And we are super grateful. Thanks so much for your time. And everybody, we're going to go into overtime. So we're going to let David go. And if anybody wants to hang around, feel free. Thanks,
Thank you,
David.
everyone. Bless you all.
What's up, guys?
That was extraordinary.
Kathy, I'm sorry we didn't get to you.
No, you're good. It's total. I had like 2 questions and I probably would have just ended up blubbering them. So, but yeah, I'll ping them, and maybe if I can, poach 5 minutes from them, that'd be great. So
yeah,
no worries.
He's very accessible. Great guy. Obviously, my brain doesn't work as fast as his, so I've got to go back into our knowledge center and listen to that again, because he was dropping some bombs that I was like, I think I got that, but I'm not sure. I got to go back.
Yeah, no, lesson learned. I need to ping earlier. I need to ping Kathy earlier. Get in the queue. Don't wait.
Aaron, thank you. So what'd you guys think? If you're not following David, please do.
Scott, this is Bruce. The wisdom of what are we doing to interfere versus what we're doing to accomplish was just mind-blowing to me. That was a nugget that, highlighted, bulleted, bold, italics, you name it. It was incredible.
Loved it. Yeah, absolutely. He's got so much knowledge and he is just a sponge. He's on a really kind of like a lifelong mission to just learn. He's a lifelong learner. And I think that's what we have in our community, is everybody really hungry to learn. And for those of you who don't have Bruce's book, go pick up Bruce's book.